understanding that anger. And it's like, so, but anger is essentially observes the object, wants the object to be pushed away from you, and then exaggerates the bad qualities of the object and decides that it should not exist, basically. You want it out of the space, out of your way. So it's like the opposite of love, right? And in that moment when you're angry, you can do horrendous things. You can say horrendous things. So it's like you could be friends for 10 years and then you can say something out of anger and it can destroy the relationship. It's such a destructive emotion. In that moment that you're angry, you think you're so right. This is the trouble. The righteousness that comes with anger. So we want to start observing it, and we want to see how often we're angry, how often we're annoyed. Yeah. So the root delusion's ego grasping at a self. And because we grasp at a self, then these other delusions, I think Buddha said there's 84,000 of them, right? So there's a lot of delusions in the mind. All of them come down to one, self-grasping. But most teachers say self-grasping and cherishing that self. Like we think the only thing we rely on, as my teacher said, is our own mind. Everything else we kind of mistrust. Might mistrust Buddha. Well, you know, Buddha maybe is just a historical figure. The only thing we don't mistrust is our own mind. And in the terminology of the path, we need 11 reversals. It's like absolute revolutions of consciousness. Yeah. And one of those revolutions of consciousness is taking responsibility for yourself. And the other is the wish to become free from samsara. So instead of looking out for happiness, looking at other people, blaming them, whatever it is, we look in. And we understand happiness and suffering are found in the mind only. Hell doesn't exist outside. It's all coming from the mind. So if we're going to free ourselves from the delusions of the mind, we have to understand what they are. Now, I say, so my teachers explained to me, oh, this is anger, this is what, and it's like, now you have to observe it. So if you go, right, I'm not going to be angry, how can you can't observe it. You have to observe it. Don't act on it. Like when anger's really gone, so it's like a fire. So when it's gone, when it's forest fire, get away from people. Go and do dynamic meditation if you know what to do, or get some pillows and beat them and scream into the pillows. Let it kind of, you want to act on it when it's just a match that's just been struck. That's when you're like, your mind is like, we do the meditations, you do the work to get to that alertness where it's like, I'm getting angry. And it's like, I can recognize the traits. If I allow my mind to continue like this, it's going to turn into anger. And so as soon as it's struck, you blow it out with wisdom, compassion, meditation, whatever it is, and it's like, but the best thing to do is just to dwell in love all day. How many of us can dwell in love all day? Okay, yeah, so we can't dwell in love because we don't recognize that this poison is poison. We think it's, in fact, we're such a deluded, deranged culture. If you don't think our culture is deranged, you must do by now. It's like the current situation. If you don't know people are brainwashed, you must do by now. And this thing, no, it's okay to be angry. You should get angry at people. It's like, wow, it's far gone. It's like the most ugly, horrendous emotion. Yeah, no, it's fine to be angry and stuff. It's like, anger's the ugliest thing, isn't it? You live with someone who's angry? It's the ugliest thing. There is authentic anger, but it's much more like a mother with a child, and the child's about to put their hand in the fire. there's authentic anger. We don't have it. Let's just say we don't have it. If you do, it's just like an accident. Our anger is generally from self-grasping, like, oh, why did he have to sit down there? I wanted my space on the bus. I wanted my space on the bus. I was like, oh, I was going for a nice walk in the park and this person's walking behind me. Oh, now, if I turn down this street, maybe they won't follow me. It's like, you want this person out of existence. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I hate the way they brush their teeth. Doesn't it? It's like, well, toothpaste, come on. It's like, why can't they just do it from the bottom? Yeah, it's like if they squeeze it in the middle, it's just, if you squeeze it from the bottom, like anger. We don't think, we're so habituated to being angry, we just think it's kind of normal consciousness. Anger. When we're in that space, we're not happy, we're agitated. And we're judging the other and we want them to be down. It's like, why aren't I enlightened yet? You know, I've been meditating for 3 years. It's like anger. Anger, judgment, expectation. Oh, just watch your mind. So the practice for the next 9 days is to observe. I'll write up something. It took me ages to write up the other stuff because I'm dyslexic and just been doing some other stuff. But it doesn't matter. The main practice is you just observe how often you're angry. And then write up all the times you're angry. So you can do your journal at night, or find the time you want to do it, but it's important that you write it, because what you're actually going to do is destroy your self-image, because you think you're great. And then when you go through your mind, you realize you're the idealistic image that you want everyone else to see. Why doesn't everyone else see me in this way? Why doesn't everyone else agree with me? Why doesn't it see we've got this idealized self-image. Sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes we're going, people should understand my viewpoint. We're going to go through the 6 delusions, or the main delusions. Then we're going to look at the core stuff like I am right. And how often with this feeling, I am right.